So, do golf lessons help? Well, yes. So there's a stat that certainly pre-lockdown, only about 15% of golfers, that's somebody playing once a month, would have a golf lesson. Biggest couple of reasons: they felt it'd be going backwards before forwards, and just the amount of time they'd have to commit to, if they thought they would show an improvement, would be too much. But this is the misconception: the golf lessons are just, working on something technical, getting into a position, and doing that millions of times to see some change. Now, yes, you need to improve technically, but technical movements, depend on what it is, can take some time. Some people get things quicker than others. Some people can control the club quicker. Some people move their body quicker or make changes earlier. But that will take, a certain amount of time. Where you see, and myself included, a coach posting a before and after position, that will happen in a lesson. It's not made up. It will happen at maybe full speed. But when they leave the lesson, the chances of that sticking after one lesson on the golf course, minimal, if at all. Most players can go back to default. And they might have a good or a bad round because it's golf. But just working on technical changes will take, it will take a long time. However, the good news is, alongside that, which you need to do, you can develop your skill. You can develop better course management. And these things will have more of an immediate effect on the golf swing. So I will tend to see players that are already good enough technically to shoot lower scores. It's not uncommon, but we see players with, let's say, awkward swings that are still new to the game, but they might have a sporty background and they're coordinated and skillful enough with strange, let's call it, swings to still get round and shoot good scores. More often, I would say, I see players that look great technically, but can't break 100. And it's like, well, why? And now, big reasons for that is their skill level and maybe game management isn't where it should be. So we can improve these two things. Let's start with skill. And an analogy that I've stolen from somewhere is, if I'm doing the school run, I can do it with my car, let's call that the technique, which is basic, but it can get the job done with my skill level of driving the car. I don't need an F1 car to do the school run, and let's say doing the school run is breaking 100. If Lewis Hamilton jumped in my car, he's got more skill. With the same technique, he could do the school run quicker. So we can still improve without changing the technique. You also find that, and when we do give you a skill task or a task that develops skill, if you come up with the movement yourself to achieve that and you change the technique, that's going to stick for longer. You can then make changes to that yourself without the coach forcing you, putting you in a certain position. Hugh Maher said it really well the other day. If we improve technique, it will improve your golf, but it won't really change your skill. However, if we improve your skill or give you a task to try and influence and improve the skill, that can have a knock-on effect on technique. For example, let's say you're someone that comes over the top, you then early extend, and you push the handle like this, and you're hitting some heely right ones. So let's just say we wanted to miss the heel of the club, and we set you up for something like this, and we said, address the near ball, put the club outside, can you swing and hit the inside ball? So that would get my strike away from the heel. That was a fat toey hook. But to do that, I might have had to have come up with something that would change my technique. Not to be the most efficient way of doing it or the best way of doing it, but you can do that with your coach while working your technique. But at least you've got the ability or the awareness of how to move the strike on the club face, which will get you around the course, which will help improve your golf and your shots and lower your score. So while improving your technique, you can still develop your skill. Sometimes that can have a bigger influence on your golf than just developing technique. So when you are developing these skills, you need tasks that you can do, and importantly, you can measure. So let's say you are hitting out the hill. Okay, lucky enough to have TrackMan here, but you could use a face spray or just a Sharpie pen on the ball and see where it leaves a mark on your club. Just see if you can move the strike away from the hill. So after some practices of trying this and moving it away from the hill, regardless where the ball goes, so that's a draw, slightly toey. Can you do it then, get the same feel without hitting the heel of the club? Whatever that feel was for you, if this is the task you're trying to do. So another toey one. But I've moved that strike away from the hill. Now, like I said earlier, doing that task can have an influence on your technique as well. It'll certainly give you, or increase your skill level for that task, and on this occasion, like club face awareness. So I've not sliced or hit one out the heel there. 2 hooks, 1 draw, toes, and 1 near the centre. So that's already changing my swing. So measuring it is really important. And then once you see, or if you've gone to the golf course and you're still hitting the ones out to the right, in your lessons and as part of your lesson program, you should also be working on like your course management, game management. A big part of that is expectations. So let's say you think your 7-iron carries 150, and I've just done that. That's 140. So knowing simple things like that, because everybody overrates their ball striking, knowing just that and where your average shot goes and being honest with it will also, while you're developing and improving the strike and the direction, will also help you lay your scores on the golf course. So if you're in lessons and you're just doing technical positions, hoping that you're going to see a change when you play on Sunday, no. You need to include in your lessons and in your practice, yes, technique, yes, skill development, and also gameplay. When you're competent enough, early on in your development, you might see some more block practice type things where you're just looking at technique to get to a level. But even then, we're still trying to improve players' awareness of club, where it is, body, where it is, and improve that overall skill level. So if you're just doing this in lessons and looking at technical stuff, it's not enough to see a change. If you're only doing that, you will not see an improvement, and it might feel like backwards before forwards. But make sure you include in your practice and in your lessons some skill development so that you can measure and, importantly, feed that back to your coach. Again, lucky enough here on TrackMan, when players practice down at T-Box, we can see their practice, which is unbelievably useful. But even players I coach elsewhere, I'd be encouraging them to send their swings online as often as possible. So I won't see a whole practice and it's just a one swing, but at least I can see how they're working on their drills. So the communication as part of the lessons is really important too. So if you want to see an improvement, because lessons, yes, they do work, needs to include all of the above and the communication with your coach.